Today, I am in Greenwood Cemetery in Grand Rapids, Michigan. And today we are here to visit the final resting place of Hyman Berkowitz. And I cannot wait to tell you guys his story. It's going to be a fun one.
It must be time for Rogers Department Store's annual sidewalk sale. Our friends Andy and Dennis are planning to get an early start. Rogers Department Store's annual sidewalk sale starts Thursday at 7 a.m. sharp.
You know, that wasn't so hard.
I'm from the UP, you know.
You want some s'mores? Man, are we ever ready for the Rogers Department Store sidewalk sale?
Are we ever?
Let's see, alarm clock set for 7 a.m.
Got it.
The Rogers charge card.
Got it.
The map of the tents.
Got it.
Okay, and the list of things to buy.
Got it.
Oh, I can hardly wait. Whoa, man.
Rogers Department Store's sidewalk sale starts Thursday morning at 7 a.m. sharp.
What was that noise?
Don't worry, I think it was just a friendly raccoon. Whoa, what a great day of shopping.
It's just what you'd expect from the annual Rogers Department Store sidewalk
Look
sale.
at these great buys. I got this for my wife, these for my daughters, all this for me.
Think of all the money we saved.
How long does the sale last?
Through Saturday. Why, you thinking of going back?
Why not? It only happens once a year.
You know, I saw this great suit. It
Blue?
was a pinstripe. And
Really sharp?
Yeah. Why? Wait a minute. Come on, I saw the suit first.
Don't
It's my
miss the
suit.
good stuff
I really-
at Rogers' annual sidewalk sale now through Saturday.
Like I said, we are in Greenwood Cemetery in Grand Rapids, Michigan. And we are here to visit the final resting place of Hyman Berkowitz. And I'm giving you guys some landmarks to look for when you want to come and visit his grave. He is the founder of Rogers Department Store. Just showing you guys some landmarks to look for when you come into the cemetery. It is very cold today, but here is block W. You're going to want to look for that and look for this grave site right here. They are not buried too far from this location. They're buried right down this road right here. Pretty easy to find. I thought I'd have a difficult time finding it. It's a very large cemetery. It's one of the most historic in all of Grand Rapids, but you're going to want to look for this headstone also. And here we are. This is the grave of Hyman Berkowitz, founder of Rogers Department Store, and his wife Greta Berkowitz. Some people called him Hi, which he loved, and some people called him Mr. Berk. In 1955, Neil Vanderdahl sold Mr. Berkowitz the property on which the first Rogers Department Store was built, and the building still exists till this day. It was a memorable occasion because the $100 check deposited as a down payment promptly bounced, much to Mr. Berkowitz's embarrassment. The story was a favorite and retold over and over and over the years. He was devoted to employees whose families regularly graced the store's Christmas calendars. Mr. Berk was an unassuming man who cut a huge profile in West Michigan. Words like mentor, icon, and wonderful friend spill easily from the lips of those who knew him best. He had an incredible legacy, not only for the generosity he had because of his resources, but also because of his concern as a person, just wanting to do good things for good people. The grand opening at 859 28th Street Southwest was held in March 1956. Hyman was the first store owner and manager, but the store had actually been open for business since the first of the year. The store advertised itself as carrying men's, women's, and children's apparel and shoes, using an open selling self-service system with a staff of 4 assist shoppers. The first store only measured just about 70 by 60 feet, but not for long. During the fall of 1957, Mr. Berk expanded the sales area, nearly doubling it in size, and added a new section carrying a line of work clothing. He was also working with neighboring houses to add additional blackstop and lighted parking in the rear of the store. Sidewalk sales became a feature in 1962. Several years later, the decision was made to build a new store a little west of the original site. He chose a spot at 959 28th Street, next to the new Wyoming State Bank. The new store opened in June 1961, quadrupled the size and number of employees from 12 to 25. A men's suit department was added, and a charge account office opened. And finally, a few years later, he outgrew that building and built the final location at 1001 28th Street. This is the building that I remember having great memories. Remember going there with my mom, getting my school clothes at the Big and Tall shop, meeting Santa Claus there at Christmas. They had the best Santa Claus ever there, and getting a Roger raccoon stuffed toy. Some great memories we had here. And now I'm going to tell you some of the memories of people that knew Mr. Hi. Linda says, my late dad's insurance agency, Evans and Drum Incorporated, insured Rogers Department Store. Mr. Berk and my dad were great friends. Mr. Berk's daughter, Lainey, and I played flute in the Creston High School marching band. Wonderful memories of great people. Julie says, the very best setup for Santa to visit with kids. S&H green stamps to be earned with purchase. The it place for a prom dress. Jeff says, stood in the longest lines ever in their parking lot to get Alan Trammell's autograph. Went there with my mom to see actress Kim Zimmer, who played Reva on the soap opera Guiding Light. She's from Grand Rapids and was doing a Q&A. Also, Rogers' summer tent sale was a most go-to event. Rogers sold quality clothing, and the discounts at the tent sale were worth the crowds. Kelly said, my grandmother worked there for many years before she retired in the mid to late 80s. Plenty of clothes and shoes came from Rogers, and who could forget the free toy or ring in the bunny box on the stair landing. Mr. Berk is what we called him as kids. He was beyond generous with his Christmas party for the employees' families. The gifts were the real deal, nothing like the dollar store junk stores sell today. I wish people had remained faithful to his landmark business and did more to support it when it was evident they were having a tough time. I shopped there for my kids until they closed. Still have a jewelry gift box with their logo. Shirley says, I worked there for 19 years, from 1980 to 1999, and managed customer service under the great Lola Connor, and one-of-a-kind woman who taught me what customer service is. The customer is always right, even when he is wrong. I loved every minute. I worked there and loved the people I worked with, too. There is not enough space to capture all my memories. With the store it was, the anniversary sales with a focus on different countries, the sidewalk sales, ladies' days with the Wheel of Fashion show, celebrity appearances, free gift wrap, free alterations, Christmas parties at the Amway, green stamps, and on and on. There will never be another place like it. Anne said, my dad worked there. I have vivid memories of the store, the Christmas party, and of going to pick up my dad at the end of his shift, watching him turn off the lights in the shoe department. Sharon says, too bad, Rogers department store sits there empty. I worked there for 15 years. Mr. Berk would be so sad. The Rogers name comes from the land across the street. Mr. Berk started on Plainfield and Coit. As his place continued to grow, he tried 28th Street to make it his place. His business continued to become Rogers Department Store. It was extremely popular. Mr. Berk owned that store for many years. Then it was his girls and grandson when he died. They tried for several years and gave up. It was such a popular store with people came from all over Michigan to shop. But the new mall in Granville made it hard to compete. Now no one wants it at all. So sad. Jason says, as Mr. Berk got older, we would sometimes have to take him home to his condo out on Charlevoix Drive. These nights are some of my most treasured memories of working at Rogers. Mr. Berk loved to talk and tell stories about his life. The other stock clerks were averted by this experience, but I was a history nut and loved to listen to him. He told me that his first job was shoveling coal for a nickel a day. He also told me he worked at a department store on Plainfield Avenue before opening up Rogers. He always told us to drive faster than the speed limit, but not as fast as the fastest car. He told me that the reason he needed to drive a Lincoln Mark was because he needed to get places fast. The warehouse that we stored all of the racks and shopping bags in was part of the old Calvinator factory on Clyde Park in Granville Avenue. Unfortunately, at age 17, I didn't realize the history of that building. When there was nothing to do, they would send us over to the warehouse to sort racks and things. When the girls on the sales floor needed racks, they would make a list of us with specific styles of racks they needed. One of the saddest days up to that point in my life was when Mr. Berk's wife Greta died in December of 1997. A few of us stock boys got to go to Mr. Berk's condo to move a heavy desk. Just after she passed, I remember seeing all of the nurses that attended to Greta in the condo, and they were all distraught with grief. When Rivertown Crossings Mall opened up in Granville, there was a buzz in the air about a future Rogers. The community around the store was changing, and there was a concern that the new mall would be the end of Rogers. Jill says, my favorite store, the only place tall women could get clothes, and they would tailor them to fit perfect. Bought my girls most of their clothes there every year, their Easter and Christmas dresses. You asked about employees. I know Kay worked there for years but has passed. Christy says, I remember it as a major part of my childhood. We spent many shopping trips at Rogers Department Store. I wish there was something as quality and large as Rogers was. Karen says, the convenience of their gift wrapping service, no matter the occasion, they made it look so easy. Jason says, I have other random memories of Rogers. Bud Dinger was the CEO. He had previously been a manager of some sort of Herbolsheimer's department store in downtown Grand Rapids. He was always the guy making the announcements at the sidewalk sale. Rogers had a top-notch security team. I remember a few times they were short-staffed and they would call upon us stock clerks for support, just to have a presence around the crooks. They did not mess around when they were apprehending somebody. I witnessed people being tackled on several occasions. Typically, the security guys were in college training to be policemen. When the sidewalk sale was done, we all had to stay late that Saturday night and close things down. Afterwards, it was tradition that everyone went to Village Inn Pizza. Another popular watering hole for the staff was Poor Arthur's on Burlingame and Prairie. Back in a lost corner of the stock room, I ran across the old ring box that used to be out on the sales floor. It was a giant bunny holding a box full of plastic rings for the children to take. As soon as I saw it, many fond memories came rushing back. During my tenure there, the Beanie Baby craze had hit, and Rogers was a distributor of them. I remember Beanie Babies coming in off the truck in unmarked boxes, and they had to be secretly brought into the locked conference room in the basement. The ticket ladies had to open the boxes and put the price tags on them in private and couldn't tell anyone they were in there. They asked a few of us stock boys to stay late that night, and after we went through the store to make sure everyone had left, they told us about our mission. They were all laid out on tables and covered with sheets. One of the biggest things that modern stores lack these days is the gift wrap department. I remember one woman in particular could wrap gifts at a blind fast pace. Every year on Christmas Eve, Don would bring all of the gifts that had bought for his family and had those girls wrap the gifts. I recall at least a couple times bringing his packages out to his car for him. Rogers had a parking lot staff to help people find a parking place. One gentleman that worked out there was such a nice man. I wish I remember his name. Every year for Christmas, the employees got to choose a gift. We had the choice of a ham, turkey, or a giant box of chocolates. One year I got to sit in the truck all day and hand out the gifts to the employees. That was a lot of fun. The employees also got to invite a Christmas party in one of the ballrooms of the Amway Grand Plaza. I personally never went to any of those parties, but I remember my mom and dad going to them every year. My mom worked there. Mr. Berk was one of the greatest men I ever had the pleasure of meeting. He was so generous to the community with his philanthropy. He held the handicap fishing day every year for the special needs children. He paid for police dogs for the city of Wyoming. My experience of Rogers was one of the foundations of my values as a human being. I can't think of a bad thing to say about any of the staff there. Unfortunately, I had to move from the job because I was afraid I would make a career out of being a stock clerk. And the stories just go on and on and on and on. So many people have so many great memories of this legendary man, this great man. It's just so sad that Rogers Department Store is no longer around. It is greatly missed by our community, but we love you, Mr. Berk, and you will never ever be forgotten. May you rest in peace. Thank you for the memories.